Ya, dia dah mood raya dah ni. Orang utara kata, lah ni dia tak ada feel dah nak belajar ni. Dia kira nak balik raya. Tapi hari ni kan, hari ni saja. Sejam saja. Lepas tu kita boleh sambung lah, buat ketupat ke, buat kuih ke apa lah. Alright, so Assalamualaikum kelas, good morning. Come on.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah.
Selamat pagi, Doktor.
Okay, pagi. Alright. So, if you can see in your Google Classroom, I already uploaded the previous lecture sessions, and I also uploaded a few slides for the next lecture. So, you can find in your Google Classroom. And again, assignment 1 will be posted at 8:30 a.m. this morning. So you have 2 weeks to solve or to settle your assignment 1. Alright? Okay, so today we will learn about bone, human bone, the biomechanics of human bone growth and development. Okay, kita tengok apa yang ada. So when we talk about bone, it relates to stiffness. There are a few terms, yeah? Stiffness, compressive strength, tensile strength. So what does it mean? Apa maksud stiffness? Stiffness is the ratio of stress to strain. Remember, stiffness is stress divided by strain. Stress divided by strain. In a loaded material, so stress divided by the relative amount of change in shape. That is the definitions. I will show you afterward the calculation on how to find stiffness. Okay, and then we have compressive strength. Apa itu compressive strength? It is the ability to resist pressing force. And then the last one is tensile strength, the ability to resist pulling force. So there are two different things, compressive strength and tensile strength. Kita tengok lagi apa yang ada. Okay, ini contoh soalan yang kita akan buat kejap lagi. Before that, stiffness ni saya cakap tadi, stiffness is the stress to strain ratio kan. So stiffness, okay, saya tunjuk equation for stiffness. This is the equation for stiffness ya. Stiffness the equation is stress divided by strain is the ratio of stress divided by strain. This is a symbol of stress divided by strain. This is the symbol of strain. Stress, can you still remember class? What is the equation of stress? Apa equation of stress? Kita belajar chapter 1. Come on. Apa equation of stress? We learn when we calculate the stress of the high heel shoes, stiletto shoes, flat shoes.
Force
Yes?
divided by area.
Again?
Force divided by area.
Okay, good. So force divided by area. This is the equation of stress. And then we have one more. This is the new one. Strain. Strain, the equation of strain is final length. Okay, final length minus original length divide by original length. Or ataupun final area divide by original area minus original area divide by original area. Meaning that anything that has the final dimension minus the original dimension divide by original dimension, then it will be strain. Apa-apa saja yang final minus original divide by original, we call it strain. I also can write it down as final diameter minus original diameter divide by original diameter. or radius, final radius minus original radius, divide by original radius. That is also strain. So the upper equation, this one, final minus original, this is changes in length. Okay, final minus original, changes in length. Divide by original length. So this is the equation of strain, yeah? Stiffness, again, is the ratio of stress divided by strain. Stress equal to force divided by area. Strain equals to changes in dimensions minus original dimension. Faham tak? Clear? Clear, ya? Faham, ya?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Adam. Okay.
Okay,
Siranjeev. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Alright, good. So, you know the equation now, how to calculate strain. Can you help me calculate this type of questions? If a load of P equals to 30 kilonewton, we have the load. Load is the force, 30 kilonewton is applied to the bone where the cross-sectional area is 30 millimeter square. Determine the stiffness of the bone. So stiffness, yeah, stiffness. The original length of the bone is 100 mm. Original length, L0. Okay, this is the original length. And the elongation is 0.01 mm. So this is the original length. Let's say this is 100 mm. Then it elongates. It has some increment of the final length that will be 0.01. So can you calculate the stiffness for me? Now, 5 minutes. Senang ni. Straightforward. Just substitute into that equations. Okay, class. The force is in kilonewton, but now the area is in millimeter square. The length is also in millimeters. So you need to convert all the millimeters you need into meter, because our force is in kilonewton. Okay, 5 minit Saya pun nak kira juga ni. If you have any question, then you can ask me. Confused kat mana-mana, tanya. Mak Yasin okey Tengok tekun tu. Nurul Adni, Anis Raihana. Pas raya ni berjumpa baru senang. This is a straightforward question, okay, class, because it gives you all the dimensions. But I guarantee the last answer will not be the same between you and your friend. Mesti akan ada yang tak sama. Kita tengok Then we can find where is the mistake from there. Kirtana. Okay. Saya tak nampak yang lain-lain ni. Kalau siapa yang available tu, switch on camera Sama-sama lah, you switch on your camera, I switch on my camera. Kalau tak, kalau saya tutup kamera macam ni je, you tak nampak saya, nanti dia akan jadi bosan it will be bored. So that's why saya open my camera, then you should also open your camera. Then it will be two-way communication. Alright? Apa yang belum mandi pun tak apa, tak ada masalahnya. Janji you attend my session. Okay. Dah. Finish. Okay ke? Nur Zunaira. Okay ke? Okay, boleh kita discuss?
Boleh Doktor.
Okay, boleh share dengan saya tak? Apa jawapan korang? Can you share with me your answer? Because I didn't bring my calculator, so I don't have that answer now. Can you share with me the answer? Okay, one. Okay, one. Okay, siapa-siapa nak share? Kita tengok jawapan yang pertama. Anybody? Bagi tahu je. Tak apa, tak ada unit. Unit salah tak apa. I just want to know the value. What is the value of stiffness? Bagi tahulah seorang. Alah korang ni.
100.
How much, Ciranjit?
100.
100. Okay. Sekejap. Dia Liana. Minus 1001. Wow. Okay. See? I just told you. It will be different answer at the end. Okay. Then, next. Ada jawapan lagi? Is there any more answer compared to these two answer?
10 kilo Newton per m square.
10
Kilo.
kilo ni. Okay. 10 kali 10 kuasa 3 lah. And then?
Newton over m square.
Okay, so the value is 10 kilonewton 10 kilo Betul? 10 kilo
Yes.
Okay. Sekejap, saya bagi nampak sikit. 10 kilo. Okay. So now 3 answer. Next. Ada lagi tak? Ada lagi ke?
1 darab 10 kuasa 10.
1 darab 10 kuasa 10. Wow. 1 darab 10 kuasa 10. Oh. Any more? Ada lagi ke? Ada lagi ke? Habislah korang. Soalan ni pun 4 jawapan ni. Aduh. Okay, ada lagi tak? Ada lagi tak? Hopefully one of them is correct lah. Girls, come on girls. Any other answer? Korang nak segan apa? Saya bukan nampak korang depan-depan pun. Jauh ni. Salam tak apa. Come on, girls. Saya nak satu jawapan daripada girls. Dan kita proceed.
Saya dapat macam dia tak ada.
Macam yang mana? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yang dua, yang negatif 101.
Okey, Zunaira dapat yang ni, negatif 1001. Okey, the rest. Girl, yang lain? Ada ni? Nurul ada ni? Dapat apa? Tak dapat pun tak apalah. Hentam lah. Pilihlah yang mana-mana.
0.1 to power of 0.1 darab 10 negatif 3.
0.1 0.1.
0.1
0.1
time with 10 power of negative 3.
negatif 3. Betul ya? Okey. Tak apa, salah tak apa. Okey, kita ada 5 jawapan berbeza. We have 5 different answer. If I ask every of you 70% right now, maybe you will get 70 or 60 different answer. Okay, kita tengok we'll do it together. Stress, force divided by area. How to change or convert 30 millimeter square into meter square. Macam mana nak convert 30 millimeter square to meter square? Macam mana nak convert? That is the critical point right now. Millimeter square to meter square should be 10 minus of 6. Betul ke? Millimeter square. Okay. Millimeter square. If I want to change my value into meter square, then I'll need to add 10 power of minus 6. Betul ke?
Betul.
Minus 3.
Betul.
Minus 3.
Minus 6.
Minus
3 tak ada.
minus 3 if you want to convert millimeter to meter. So millimeter square to meter square, 10 power of minus 3 or 10 power of minus 6?
Minus 6.
Siapa cakap minus 6, raise your hand. Ada kat button bawah tu. Saya nak tengok. Okay. Who said that millimeter square to meter square is minus 6? 10 minus of 6. Okay. 24 orang, 26 orang, 28, 29. Okay. Lebih kurang 30 to 40 people. Okay, good. How many people said that if we want to convert millimeter square to meter square is 10 minus 3? Okay, siapa cakap 10 minus 3? Pun ada juga. Okay. The correct answer is 10 minus 6 ya. 10 power of minus 6. Dekat situ kalau salah, memang salah dah lah. So, now is, we have 30 millimeter square, then it will be 30, 10 minus 6. So, force is 30 kilonewton, maksudnya 30, 30 times 10 power of 3. 30, 10 power of 3. Divide by 30, 10 power of minus 6. Okay, can you solve this one for me? Apa jawapannya? For stress? Berapa jawapannya? Calculator je. How much?
1 exponent 9.
Siapa? Berapa Diana? Saya dengar Diana Batrisha tadi.
10 kuasa 9.
10 1 darab 10 kuasa 9 lah.
1 exponent 9.
Ya, 1 darab 10 kuasa 9, betul?
Betul.
Okay. So this is the stress value. Okay, kan? Okay. So solve for stress. Okay. How about strain? What is the final length? What is the final length? Original length we already know. That is 0.1. This is 0.1. Okay, this is 0.1 meter. This is also 0.1. 100 mm sama dengan 0.1, betul kan? Betul Kalau saya salah beritahu lah. So what is the final length? In millimeter. What is the final length?
0.01.
Okay, 100.01. Good. So if we convert it into meter, it will be 0.101. Betul ke? Betul kan? Betul kan?
No, doctor.
So the answer will be 0.
0.100
0.1.
01.
0.1001.
Tiga
Betul.
kali
Another one
zero.
zero.
Tiga
Another
kali
one
zero.
3 kali 0.
Yes.
Betul ke ni? 100 tambah 1, 2, 3. Betul. Ya, 3. Okay. Then can you calculate the strain value for me? 0.1001 minus 0.1 divided by 0.1.
Satu darab 10 kuasa negatif 4.
1 darab 10
Kuasa
Negatif 4.
negatif 4 So 1 times 10 power of minus 4. Okay, solve for strain. Now we can calculate the stiffness. Okay, stiffness. Yang lain pula. Tak nampak tu ni. So stiffness, stress divided by strain. Stress is 1 times 10 power of 9 divide by 1 times 10 power of minus 4. Okay, the final answer will be
1 darab 10 kuasa 13.
1 darab 10 kuasa 13. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Semua salah. Okay. So that will be your answer lah. Any question class? Ada soalan tak? Memandangkan semua salah? Any question?
Sir, kalau unit dia je.
Unit stiffness ni you nak kena derive lah. Dan ini Newton per meter. Yang ini kilonewton, sorry. This is Newton. We don't have any, for strain, we don't have any value. Strain betul tak? Kalau you tengok, strain, length divide by length. So, meter divide by meter. Betul? Betul ke? So, there is no unit for strain. Okay. Unit for strain, there is no unit, But for stress, is force divided by area. So, Newton per meter square. Then, stiffness is equal to Newton per meter square. That is the unit. Faham? Faham, Because strain, we don't have the unit. From these equations, okay, from the equation of strain, meter divide by meter. So you can cancel out the unit. So no unit for strain. The only unit is for stress. Stress is Newton per meter square because force is in Newton, area is in meter square. So that's why stiffness, the equation is Newton per meter square. Okay, Kadang-kadang kita tak tahu unit kan. Stiffness unit apa, force unit apa, But from the equations, you can easily find the unit, But you need to know lah. Force, the unit is in Newton. Area, what is the unit? In meter square. So finally you'll get the final unit. Okay class, boleh ke? Yeah. Lama dah kat slide ni. Kita go to the next slide. Yang ni saya tak boleh tunjuk muka saya sebab saya tengah padam. Okay. So composition and structure of the bone. The question is, what contribute to stiffness and compressive strength in bone? We talked about stiffness just now. Stress divided by strain. So what is the contribution to the stiffness and compressive strength in bone? So the answer will be calcium carbonate and also calcium phosphate. Remember class, now I just tell you that two, calcium carbonate and phosphate. If later in your quizzes or in your midterm test, final exam, maybe I will also ask, can you give a few examples of calcium carbonate that contribute to stiffness and compressive strength in bone? Can you also give some example of calcium phosphate that contribute to the stiffness and compressive strength in bone? That answer is not in the lecture note, but you need to figure it out. What is calcium carbonate and also what is calcium phosphate? Kena cari sikit lah, takkan semua saya nak tunjuk kat sini. So you need to find it later. So these two calcium actually contribute to the stiffness and also the strength in the bone. Okay, tu dah ada hint sikit tu. Dia tak ulang banyak kali lah. Alright, I move to the next slide. Okay, so there are another questions. What contribute to flexibility and tensile strength in bone? So the answer will be collagen. So in our bone, we have collagen. So it has a function to make the bone flexible and also in a tensile strength parameter. Okay, and then what is the effect of aging? Aging is penuaan. In Malay, we call it penuaan on collagen in bone. So collagen is progressively lost and bone brittleness increasing with aging. Makin lama kita meningkat usia, when we grow older, then the collagen will also progressively lost. Sebab tu, that's why when we compare the strength of a bone in the child and the strength of a bone in the adults, then there are a lot of different in terms of strength and also the flexibility, because the collagen is progressively lost. Dia makin menurun, makin menghilang when we grow older. So what else affect bone strength, water content of the bone, and also bone porosity? When we talk about bone porosity, you can see from the figure, it has a few holes on that bone. So that is bone porosity. Lubang-lubang tu the holes in the bone, that is bone porosity. So this is the main categories of bone. We have cortical bone, and also we have trabecular bone or cancellous bone. The same thing, trabecular or cancellous bone is the same thing, the same bone. So two categories of bone, cortical and also trabecular. Remember kita ada dua, satu cortical bone, satu trabecular bone. What is cortical bone? Cortical bone is a compact mineralized bone with low porosity. Maksud dia, there is not much porosity. There is not much hole in that bone. It's a compact, solid bone. And then the other one is trabecular bone. Less compact bone. Dia tak compact sangat. With high porosity or so many holes in that bone. So that is trabecular bone. So this is a figure. You can also find where is the trabecular bone and where is the cortical bone. From this animation also, you can see that spongy bone is the trabecular bone. Okay. This is trabecular bone. This is compact bone. Okay. This is compact bone. So if you have the high porosity over here, this is the region over here. So that is trabecular bone. Okay, or spongy bone. Sama Okay, the solid is, this is cortical bone or compact bone, the solid one Right? Tengok lagi, apa ada lagi. So what else does bone porosity affect? Porosity is the hole. Ingat yang porosity tadi tu yang lubang-lubang tu. What does bone porosity affect? Because cortical bone is stiffer than trabecular bone, it can withstand greater stress but less strain. So cortical bone is compact bone, then it can withstand greater stress. Trabecular bone, okay, meanwhile, trabecular bone is spongier than cortical bone, then it can undergo more strain and before fracturing. More strain is, it can deform in length. Kita dah belajar tadi, we have learned about strain. Strain is final length minus original length divided by original length. So that is related to changes in length. So trabecular bone, because it is spongy bone, the sponge, then it can undergo more strain. It's more flexible. Okay, then okay, nampak dekat sini, we have trabecular bone and also cortical bone. Nampak dia punya perbezaan So let's say I ask you, can you sketch or can you draw and differentiate between trabecular bone and cortical bone? Then you need to draw Kalau trabecular bone, it has a few holes, so many holes But cortical bone, we have a solid part of that area. Okay, bone is anisotropic. Yang mana saya highlight merah tu, the word that I highlighted in red, Google it What is anisotropic? So bone is considered as anisotropic. Google it. Cari Tas hari ni lepas lecture cari sambil balut ketupat lah. Okay, how does the structure of bone affect its strength? Okay, so bone is strongest when you see in on the graph. Bone is strongest in resisting compression and weakest in resisting shear. So bone tu paling kuat untuk resist compression. It is good in resist compression. and then we go to tension, and the last one is shear. What is shear? Ingat lagi tak? Do you still remember? I've told you last few weeks, shear force, shearing force. We have tensile force, we have compressive force, we have shear force. So bone is weakest in shear. Apa itu shear? Ingat lagi ke? Ke dah lupa? Okay. Let's say this is our bone. Okay. Let's say this is our bone. And I apply force over here. So it will break like this. So this is the shearing area. So basically it will move like this one. So the shearing area here is caused by this force. So bone is weakest in shear. But if we have this type of bone and we have compression force over there, so dia susah nak deform. It is very difficult to make changes in the bone when we have compressive force. It can withstand the force. Dia akan kuat untuk tahan compressive. But if we have another one, tension or tensile force, it is more weaker than compressive. Ini nombor 1 yang paling kuat. This is number 2 and this is number 3. So bone is good in absorbing compression rather than tensile. But the weakest part is in shearing. Faham maksud saya? Okay, kita pergi lagi. Type of bone. Okay, type of bone. Ini tak ada dalam lecture note tau. Gambar-gambar ni. Okay. There are 2 main types of bone. 2 main types. Ingat 2 main. 2 main type of a bone. One is axial skeleton. The second one is appendicular skeleton. So dia ada 2. Satu axial, satu appendicular skeleton. Apa itu axial skeleton? What is axial skeleton? Okay. Baru dia gerak. Can you see the red color over here? This is axial skeleton. It is consists of skull, vertebra, sternum, and also the ribs. The red color, The red color. That is axial skeleton. Meanwhile, the appendicular skeleton is the red color over here. Beza, This is axial. This is appendicular. Appendicular bone is composing the body appendages. Komponen utama dalam badan kita, tulang dalam badan kita, is referred to appendicular skeleton. Our hand, our foot, our hip, that is appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton is only consists of skull, vertebra, sternum, and also the ribs. Okay, nampak beza Kalau lukis ni saya tak tahulah ni macam mana lukis. Okay, the red color here is axial, the red color here is appendicular skeleton. Ada dua beza So this is the main type. The main type We have other type of bone, but it's sub types of these two types. This is the main. Okay, and then we can talk more about the type of the bone. Dia ada lagi. Okay, kalau tengok kat sini, when you see here, this is like a subdomain lah. The main domain is that two types. This one. Mana. Okay, this is the main type, axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. Okay, the main domain. And then we move to the subdomain. So type of bone, we have short bone. And we have flat bone. Okay. And the third one is irregular bone. and the last one is the long bone. So the example you can see over there, irregular bone, we have vertebra, sacrum, coccyx, maxilla, and then long bone we have humerus, radius, ulna, femur, tibia, fibula. So where is the location of that bone? I already put it here. So if you want to find where is the femur, so from there you can see the femur is on our leg, and then where is the skull, where is the ribs. So it is there. So you all boleh nampak dekat situ the location of each bone. So we have 4 types of bone. One is short bone, the second one is flat bone, the third one is irregular bones, and the fourth one is long bones. Okay, the locations of each bone you can find it here. Tak perlu hafal semua ni nak lukis ni. No need to memorize on how to draw this type of figure. But you need to know lah, where is the radius, where is the ulna, where is the femur, the most common bone, ya. Okay, kita tengok video ni sikit.
The types of bones. There are 4 major classifications or types of bones based on their shapes: long bones, short bones, flat bones, and irregular bones. Not every single bone in the body fits perfectly into one of these classifications, and some bones may have characteristics of 2 or more of the class. Long bones are longer than they are wide, and they are mainly located in the appendicular skeleton. But at each end of a long bone, a joint is formed. Long bones are important in movement, and they support the weight of the body. Some examples of long bones are the femur, the humerus, or arm bone, and the phalanges, the bones of the fingers. Short bones are usually as long as they are wide, and they are often described as being cube-shaped. Examples of short bones are the carpals in the wrist, or the tarsal bones located in the ankle region. Short bones have little to no movement, and they provide support and stability. Flat bones are usually thin and sometimes have a curved shape to them. Flat bones protect internal organs, such as the brain and heart, and many of them have broad surfaces for the attachment of muscles. Some examples of short bones are the cranial bones in the skull, the sternum, and the ribs. Irregular bones vary in shape, so they do not fit into one of the 3 previous categories. Some irregular bones protect organs, and some, such as the patella or kneecap, attach to tendons. The patella is also classified as a sesamoid or round bone. Some sources list sesamoid bones as irregular bones, and some sources list sesamoid bones as a 5th bone collection by itself. And that is the basics of the 4 types of bones in the body.
Okay, there is 4 types of bone that we discussed it before. Okay, this is how bone grow in length. Okay, saya tak nak cakap banyak ni. Have you learned about osteoblast and osteoclast in anatomy? Have you ever heard about osteoblast and also osteoclast in anatomy? Ada tak? Ada ke? Pernah dengar ke? What is osteoblast? Ke tak pernah dengar langsung? You never heard about osteoblast? Ada yang senyum mungkin lupa.
Pernah.
Pernah Ikhwan, sana Ikhwan, pernah dengar
Pernah tapi tak ingat.
Okay, pernah tapi tak ingat. Okay, tak apa. Kita make some revision. So how do bone growth in circumference? It is related to osteoblast and also osteoclast. Osteoblast build new bone tissue. Okay, dia bina tisu baru. Osteoclast resorb bone tissue. Dia buang tisu-tisu lama, then osteoblast akan take over. Dia akan make new bone tissue. Okay, kita tengok apa yang maksud dia. Okay, here is osteoblast. The below one is osteoclast. So if you can see from osteoblast, it is bone maker. This is the old tissue. Then it will create a new bone. A solid bone. New old tissue, nampak yang spongy bone yang old tissue, then dia akan buat new bone. Osteoclast. This is the old bone. Nampak tak? Sorry, this is the bone. Dia akan remove. It is called bone breaker. Nampak? Dia akan jadi spongy, nampak? So yang atas osteoblast make a new bone. Osteoclast is like a bone breaker. Ada bone, dia akan buang yang lama dan dia akan buat yang baru melalui osteoblast. Okay, apa ada lagi? Ada satu lagi video. You boleh tengok sendiri. The second video you can play on your own because it's too long. So this you can watch it later on, ya. What is osteoblast? What is osteoclast? So here you can see how the bone is remodeled again. Ya, nanti tengok ada dalam slide. Okay, how does the bone respond to training? Okay, tak apa, ini tak ada apa. Alright, so what kind of activity tends to promote bone density? Apa aktiviti yang akan bantu untuk meningkatkan bone density ni? So what is the activity that can be used to promote bone density? One is weight bearing exercise. Since the larger the forces the skeleton system sustain, the greater the osteoblast respond. So one is weight bearing exercise, ya. That is how to promote bone density. Ingat weight bearing exercise. Kita buat exercise lah kiranya. Ada lagi nanti kita tengok. What tends to diminish bone density? Yang mengurangkan bone density. The first one is to promote, untuk tambah bone density. This one is to diminish, untuk mengurangkan atau menghilangkan bone density. So, what is the activity? One is the lack of bearing exercise. Kekurangan exercise akan menyebabkan bone density berkurang. Kekurangan, ya. Lack of weight bearing exercise. And then, we spend time in water because since the buoyant force counteract gravitational force. So, we could not spend too much time in water because it will diminish bone density. And then bed rest. Okay, jangan tidur banyak sangat kat atas katil. And then also the last one is traveling in space. Because in space it is the outside of the earth gravitational field. So these four things will diminish bone density. Lagi lama kita buat benda ni, lagi lama kita duduk dekat outer space, when we stay longer in the water or in the space, then it will diminish our bone density, ya. So when we talk about bone, there are one disease that always been discussed. It is osteoporosis. Pernah dengar kan? Mesti pernah dengar. So what is osteoporosis? Okay, it is a disorder involving decreased bone mass. So bone mass akan berkurang, and also the strength is also decreasing with pain and one or more fracture resulting from daily activity. So this is the cause or some problem or some injury that relate to the bone, osteoporosis, ya. Okay, do we have another one? Okay, there are two types. Affection by osteoporosis. Type 1 is post-menopausal. So osteoporosis affect about 40% of women after age 50. And then the second type is age associated. The first one is not related to men, ya. Yang laki-laki kita tak ada kaitan, yang type 1, ya. Right, the second one is the age associated. So age ni semua akan affected. Men, woman, we will grow older, and osteoporosis affect most women and men after age 70. So there are two types, yeah. First is post-menopausal, only for women. Type 2 is for men and women, basically after age of 70. Are younger people ever affected by osteoporosis? Soalan dia. Yes. Okay, yes, younger people also can be affected by osteoporosis. Dia ada satu term. We have one term that relate to younger people. So that term is female athlete triad, which include disorder eating, amenorrhea, and also osteoporosis. Apa maksud amenorrhea? What is the meaning of amenorrhea? Apa maksud dia? Ada yang tahu? That is relate to woman, no period. Maksudnya period tak datang. Faham tak? Faham ke apa maksud saya period tu? So, the circle of the period of a woman doesn't come. Dia tak ada. So, that is the term, amenorrhea. So, if we make the triangle, so female athlete triad is the energy deficiency, menstrual disturbance, so kitaran haid pun tak sama, and then it will also affect the bone mass. Okay, how can osteoporosis be prevented and treated? Macam mana we want to prevent? How we want to prevent osteoporosis from happening? As I said to you just now, one is we do regular weight-bearing exercise, because that is the key to prevent and also to treat the patient with osteoporosis. Then post-menopausal hormone replacement, we can take that hormone replacement and then take adequate dietary calcium and vitamin D, for examples, and avoiding smoke and excessive consumption of protein, caffeine, and alcohol. Jangan ambil terlalu banyak. And then we have common bone injury. When we talk about bone injury, always about fracture. Tengok kartun sebelah ni. Nampak? Tak pasal-pasal tangan dia patah. So, this is fracture. Tak gerak. Okay. So, common bone injury is fracture, not osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is a disease, but injury, we'll talk about fracture. Jangan salah. So, what is fracture? Fracture is a disruption in the continuity of a bone. There are a few type of fracture. Yang ni you kena tahu. Yang ni memang kena tahu. Okay, kita tengok sama. We have transverse, we have linear, we have non-displaced, we have displaced, compound, spiral, ring stick, comminuted. There are a few types of fracture in our bone. Ada banyak types. Again, saya play sekali lagi. Transverse, linear, non-displaced, displaced compound, spiral, green stick, and also the last one, comminuted. There are other more types of fracture. You can find it in your books or in other references. Here we have green stick fracture. What is green stick? So if you can see between these 6 fracture, it has different patterns. This is green stick. This is fissured. This is comminuted. Spiral fracture. Spiral, there are other rotation. And then oblique. The cutting of the fracture is like that. That is oblique. And we have transverse. Transverse mostly relate to shear. Shear tadi tu. So this is transverse. So most common fracture is this 6 type. Green stick, fissured, comminuted, spiral, oblique, and also transverse. Okay, nanti kena ingat lah benda-benda ni. Sekarang bukan open book lah. Kalau dulu open book, senang. Boleh tengok, boleh lukis balik, boleh salin. But later on, when I ask you about fracture, then you need to know this type of fracture. Mostly in the past exam question, I ask student, can you list down 6 type of bone fracture with sketch. By doing a sketch by drawing the fracture, explain briefly 6 type of common bone injury. So you need to know this one, kena tahu Okay, pelan-pelan tak apa. Pelan-pelan kayu orang kata. So I think that is the last slide of chapter 4. Any question class? Ada soalan tak? Tak balik kampung ni. Ada soalan tak?
So far, no, Doctor.
No, doktor.
Betul tak ada soalan Betul? Tak ada dah? Sekarang dah 9:10. Saya target sejam saja ni. Okay, sekejap. I will share the attendance link first. Okay, ini attendance link. Sekejap you all jangan keluar lagi tau. Saya nak ambil gambar ramai-ramai ni. Yang tak bersiap tak apa. Okay, I've shared you the attendance link. Kalau you all tengok, if you can see in your Google Classroom also, I think the assignment is there right now. Ada kan? Kalau tak silap saya dah ada. Nanti you tengok So that is the attendance link. And class, remember to, if you want to look back our session, recorded session, I already put in Google Classroom, and the link will be in my YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe the channels, because we will use again next semester for mechanic of materials. Okay, boleh tak kita buka kamera? Boleh tak? Yang mana yang ada lah kat depan ni.
Doctor,
Yes.
I have a question regarding the assignment 1.
Okay.
The instruction says to explain in details 5, but after the 5 bracket 6, so it's 5 or 6.
Sorry, 6.
Okay.
6 So
Okay.
in your assignment, explain 6 6 common fracture because it states 60 mark, is it? Betul lah, Ivan?
Yes.
Yeah, so 6
And also, should we handwrite or type the answer?
Handwrite.
Okay.
Handwriting, okay? Saya lupa nak tulis kat situ. I forgot to mention it there. So handwriting. Tak boleh copy paste So handwriting. So every person will have their own handwriting lah, and I can easily.
And what about the photos? Need to draw or paste it?
No lah. Photo you can copy anywhere. Copy and paste. Photo can copy and paste. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, welcome. Any more question regarding assignment 1? You need to choose specific sport activity. So you have 6 injury, bone fracture. So meaning that 6 sport, Let's say the first one is green stick fracture. So which sport relate to green stick fracture? And then we have spiral fracture. So you need to choose another sport activity that relate to spiral fracture. So 6 sport activity, because we have 6 bone fracture. Faham, And every sport or every fracture, you need to also list down the references that you got from there. So not the overall references, but each sports and each fracture, you need to put all the references that relate to that particular sport and also fracture. Okay, faham Faham? Okay. Okay, sebentar. Tengok sikit. Okay, saya nak ambil gambar ni. Siapa yang ada? Kita akan pergi sikit-sikit yang mana ada lah. Okay, senyum. Tak ada freestyle ke apa. Semua tegak kan. Okay, senyum 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you class. So I'll see you again next 2 weeks on Friday. Hopefully after you come back after Raya, then I'll see you face to face lah. Maybe I will try to conduct 1 lecture face to face, and after that we'll go through midterm test and everything. So quizzes will be after Raya. I will announce it later in the group. Okay, class?
Okay, Doctor.
Okay. Alright, thank you. So selamat Hari Raya for all the Muslim student here, and stay safe. Even 1st May dah tak payah pakai mask outside, but kita tengok keadaan ya. Okay, so thank you very much class. I'll see you around. Assalamualaikum.
Salam. Thank you, Doctor.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Okay, selamat Hari Raya.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay. Alright.